Trade between the UK and Ireland is dropping fast in value. Take a closer look, and the numbers make it clear. Ireland was once seen as the reasons for Brexit, but how did it turn its fate around to become one of the strongest economies in Europe? While the UK struggles with massive problems after Brexit, Ireland is doing better than anyone expected. Its success is changing the game in Europe and surprising everyone. In this video, we'll look at how Ireland turned Brexit into a win, why it's booming now, and what this means for Europe and the world. What happens when your closest neighbour predicts your downfall? For Ireland, the answer isn't just surprising, it's transformative. While Brexiteers confidently forecast doom for the Emerald Isle, the story unfolding today couldn't be more different. Far from struggling in the shadow of its former partner, Ireland is thriving. In fact, it's set to claim the title of Europe's top-performing economy. But how did this small nation turn a supposed crisis into its greatest opportunity? Let's start with a scene that might seem straight out of a modern success story. Picture the towering masts of tall ships moored along Sir John Rogerson's quay in Dublin's financial district, a bustling hub of innovation and commerce. It's a vivid contrast to the dire predictions once thrown at Ireland during Brexit negotiations. Back then, critics were certain this EU member would crumble under the pressure. Yet here we are today, and the numbers tell a radically different tale. Ireland's economy is set to grow by a striking 4.9% minimum, according to the European Commission. If you think that's impressive, Ireland's Economic and Social Research Institute predicts an even brighter future, forecasting growth at 5.5% the next year and a staggering 6% the year after that. Compare that with the gloomy outlook for the UK, where the economy is predicted to shrink by 0.2%, worse than any other major European economy. But here's the kicker. Ireland's meteoric rise isn't just about luck or timing, it's about strategic positioning, global partnerships, and a willingness to adapt. Consider this, the UK's post-Brexit economy is projected to be 15% smaller in the long run than it would have been if the country had remained in the EU. Meanwhile, Ireland has leveraged its unique position as the only EU country sharing a land border with the UK to attract investment, to strengthen its trade networks, and solidify its role on the global stage. Critics who once scoffed at Ireland's chances might find it hard to reconcile with reality. Back in the Brexit debates, there was even a joke circulating about how Ireland's economy depended almost entirely on Guinness exports and wooden sheilas. Dr. Brian Lucy, an economics professor at Trinity College Dublin, summed it up with biting sarcasm, saying that the British commentariat was genuinely convinced that Ireland would be clamouring to leave the EU as soon as the UK left. But Ireland didn't just hold its ground, it soared. And while its success draws praise from leaders like US President Joe Biden, who calls Ireland a part of his soul, the economic glow-up is rooted in something far more tangible than sentiment. So what's really driving this economic renaissance? And what lessons does Ireland's rise hold for a post-Brexit world still grappling with its choices? It's no secret that Brexit shifted the economic landscape. But while many predicted a shared struggle for Ireland and the UK, the reality couldn't be more different. Ireland hasn't just weathered the storm, it's pulled ahead, widening the gap between its economy and that of its nearest neighbour. But how did this divergence become so stark? And why are global giants flocking to the Emerald Isle like never before? Economist Kieran McQuinn from Ireland's ESRI captures the essence of this transformation. Over the past 40 years, he explains, the Irish and UK economies have steadily drifted apart. Since the Brexit vote, that gap has only grown wider. Why? The answer lies in Ireland's strategic choices and its ability to capitalise on opportunities others missed. Let's start with the game changer, EU membership. Unlike the UK, Ireland remains firmly entrenched in the customs union, giving its businesses unfettered access to a 450 million strong market. This freedom to trade beyond its immediate neighbour has allowed Irish companies to expand their reach and outgrow old dependencies. And then there's the irresistible lure of Ireland's low corporate tax rate, just 12.5%. Combined with a skilled workforce, political stability, and English as the dominant language, Ireland has become a magnet for global companies. Over the past decade, its tech sector has exploded. Titans like Amazon, Apple, Google, Facebook, Microsoft, and Intel now call Ireland home, employing a tech workforce that's 5 times more productive than the European average. But it's not just tech making waves. Ireland's pharmaceutical sector is rewriting the rulebook on success. With 9 of the world's 10 largest pharmaceutical companies building plants in the country, Ireland has become the EU's top exporter of pharmaceuticals. This industry alone accounts for over half of the nation's exports, cementing its reputation as a powerhouse in global trade. And there's more. In the wake of Brexit, Ireland has become a beacon for multinational corporations seeking a foothold in Europe. Once it competed directly with the UK for these opportunities. Now it holds a unique advantage. It's the only English-speaking country within the EU. This shift has driven a steady stream of companies relocating operations from Britain to Ireland. Dublin's financial district has been a clear winner. Between mid-2016 and early 2021, the city attracted 135 financial firms, nearly a quarter of all Brexit-related relocations. From tech giants to finance heavyweights, Ireland is redefining its global role. But what's next for this booming economy? Can Ireland sustain this rapid growth, or are there challenges lurking around the corner? Brexit was meant to be a game changer, but not necessarily for the better. While the UK braced for economic independence, Ireland quietly positioned itself as the new gateway to Europe, a move that's paying off in ways few predicted. But how exactly did Ireland flip the script on Brexit's challenges and turn them into record-breaking opportunities? A crucial piece of the puzzle lies in corporate taxes. Ireland's ultra-competitive rate of 12.5% has long been a magnet for global businesses. Meanwhile, the UK's corporate tax rate has climbed from 19% to 25% this year, sending a clear message to companies seeking a more favourable tax environment. The result? Ireland is raking in investment at an unprecedented pace. In 2022 alone, US firms announced 167 new investment projects in Ireland. It's no wonder the American Chamber of Commerce recently reported record levels of growth and investment between the US and Ireland. Sinn Féin leader Mary Lou McDonald summarised it best, saying there was no good Brexit for Ireland, but the economic opportunity was clear. And that opportunity isn't just theoretical, it's showing up in the numbers. By 2021, the UK accounted for only 13% of Irish exports and 20% of Irish imports. This shift reveals a stark reality. The UK needs Ireland more than Ireland needs the UK. In fact, Ireland is one of just 7 EU countries with which the UK still maintains a trade surplus. A surplus that shrank dramatically from €5.4 billion in 2020 to just €1.3 billion in 2021. Economist Brian Lucey described the situation as a remarkable example of a self-inflicted error from the UK's perspective. He said that while UK exports have been hampered by EU customs checks, Irish exports to the UK have surged, increasing by 24% year-on-year. This growth is partly due to the UK's decision to avoid implementing its own customs checks, prioritising the smooth flow of goods over additional administrative hurdles. This dynamic has handed Ireland a competitive edge in trade, further fueling its economic growth. But the story doesn't stop at trade or taxes. With every new investment announcement and every container of Irish goods crossing into the UK, Ireland is reinforcing its position as a transatlantic powerhouse. The real question now is whether the UK can adapt to this shifting landscape, or whether Ireland will continue to leave it in the economic dust. Economist Brian Lucey characterised the UK's approach to Brexit as a missed opportunity, suggesting that a softer Brexit could have passed unnoticed and satisfied everyone involved. However, the political process resulted in one of the hardest possible Brexits, leading to widespread consequences that extend far beyond Britain's borders. For Ireland, this outcome has proven to be a double-edged sword. On one hand, Brexit has unlocked immense economic opportunities, allowing Ireland to pivot away from dependency on its nearest neighbour and strengthen its ties with the wider EU. Irish firms have smoothly transitioned their supply chains from the UK to Europe, leaving the UK to grapple with supply challenges of its own. But on the other hand, not everything in Ireland is as rosy as it seems. Inflation is hitting hard, squeezing households and businesses alike. Cost of living pressures have surged, casting a shadow over the country's economic boom. And those sky-high GDP figures? Many economists caution that they're inflated by multinational corporations reporting profits in Ireland without significant on-the-ground operations. And then there's the elephant in the room: geopolitics. John Fitzgerald, former head of macroeconomics at ESRI, warns that looming political upheavals in the UK could send shockwaves across the Irish Sea. Scottish independence isn't just hypothetical, it's a very real possibility. If Scotland breaks away, it could leave Northern Ireland, with its deep cultural and religious ties to Scotland, in political limbo. The prospect of Irish reunification, a goal long dreamed of by some but feared by others, could bring its own set of economic and political crises to the island. For now, Ireland remains on an upward trajectory, its economy defying the grim predictions of Brexit's early days. From a headline point of view, the Irish economy is doing well, but even as Ireland thrives, the UK's struggles persist, and the broader geopolitical landscape grows even more uncertain. The question isn't whether Ireland can weather the storms. It has proven time and time again that it can. The real question is whether this period of unprecedented growth will leave the country strong enough to face what comes next. From a country once reliant on agriculture to one of the European Union's fastest-growing economies, Ireland has carved out a vital role as a gateway for global businesses and a stabilizing force in the EU. The country's success isn't just about its own prosperity. It has significant ripple effects across Europe. At the heart of Ireland's transformation is its ability to attract multinational corporations. Tech giants like Google, Apple, and Facebook have made Ireland their European headquarters, drawn by a business-friendly tax regime, a highly skilled workforce, and access to the EU single market. This influx of global investment has not only boosted Ireland's GDP, but also positioned the country as a critical bridge between the US and Europe. Ireland's leadership in innovation and technology is another cornerstone of its influence. The country has become a hub for fintech, pharmaceuticals, and renewable energy, contributing to the EU's broader goals of sustainability and digital transformation. By fostering a culture of research and development, Ireland has strengthened its ties with other member states, sharing expertise and resources to drive collective progress. Perhaps most importantly, Ireland's role as a stabilizing force in the EU cannot be overstated. As the only English-speaking country in the bloc post-Brexit, Ireland has taken on a unique diplomatic role, bridging cultural and linguistic gaps while advocating for EU unity. The country's commitment to European ideals has earned it respect and influence, ensuring that its voice is heard on issues ranging from trade to climate change. The economic and political challenges posed by Brexit have further highlighted Ireland's importance. While the UK's departure created significant uncertainties, Ireland's steady leadership has provided a counterbalance, emphasising cooperation over division. The seamless movement of goods and people across the EU's borders, supported by Ireland's policies, underscores its commitment to maintaining stability and growth within the bloc. In essence, Ireland's success story is not confined to its borders. Its strategic position, innovative economy, and dedication to European values make it a linchpin in the EU's future. As Europe grapples with global challenges, Ireland's role as a gateway and stabilizer will only grow in significance. While Ireland's economic boom has been remarkable, it is not without challenges. To sustain its growth and remain a key player in Europe, the country must address pressing issues and navigate an increasingly complex global landscape. Housing and infrastructure are among Ireland's most urgent concerns. The rapid influx of multinational companies and their employees has driven up housing demand, leading to a supply shortage and soaring prices. Dublin in particular faces significant strain, with affordability becoming a critical issue for both residents and businesses. To maintain its appeal as a global hub, Ireland must invest in sustainable urban development and modernise its infrastructure to support a growing population. Another challenge is ensuring that economic growth benefits all segments of society. While the tech and pharmaceutical sectors thrive, other industries and rural communities risk being left behind. Bridging this gap requires targeted policies that promote regional development, enhance access to education and training, and support small and medium-sized enterprises. On the international stage, Ireland faces the task of balancing its economic interests with geopolitical pressures. The global push for corporate tax reform, spearheaded by the OECD, poses a potential threat to Ireland's attractiveness to multinationals. By embracing transparency and adapting its tax policies, Ireland can retain its competitive edge while aligning with global standards. Climate change is another critical area where Ireland must take decisive action. As a leader in renewable energy and green innovation, the country has made significant strides, but challenges remain. Meeting ambitious emissions reduction targets will require continued investment in sustainable technologies, as well as policies that encourage businesses and individuals to adopt eco-friendly practices. Ireland's future really hinges on keeping solid connections within the EU and beyond. Since Brexit, it's stepped up as a major advocate for EU unity, but that comes with its challenges. The country needs to stay on top of tricky trade dynamics while making sure it continues to have a strong voice internationally. To keep its leadership role, Ireland will need to stay nimble and actively involved on the global stage. Ireland's challenges are significant, but so are its opportunities. By addressing these issues head-on and leveraging its strengths, the country can sustain its growth and continue to play a pivotal role in Europe and the wider world.